All right. Welcome in, everyone. Diving right into it today. We're tackling something that I think a lot of us, maybe even you listening right now, have struggled with at some point, and that's setting boundaries.
Yeah, those invisible lines, those rules of engagement in every part of our lives.
It's not about shutting people out, right? It's
Yeah,
more like, okay, how do we build those bridges that let the right people in at the right time without completely depleting our energy, our time, all the things that matter?
absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head when you said you listening right now, because for you, this deep dive is really about understanding the direct link between these boundaries and your mental health, how you show up in your relationships, even just your general sense of well-being, feeling good in your own skin.
So let's break this down. What exactly are boundaries? We throw that word around a lot. When we say invisible lines, what are we really talking about?
It's like, imagine you're at work, right, and someone just barges into your office without knocking. There's this unspoken understanding that you knock first, respect that personal space. That's the boundary. It's not a written rule, necessarily, but you feel it when it's violated.
So it's that sense of what's acceptable, what's okay, and how people interact with us. And it's not just at work, is it? This is family, friends, romantic relationships, even the relationship we have with ourselves.
It's everywhere. And, thinking about it, like the goalposts in a soccer game actually helps
Hmm.
because without those clear markers, the game just descends into chaos, right? No one knows where they stand, what the rules are. Boundaries bring that sense of structure and fairness to our interactions.
Okay, so you have these goalposts, but they're not all the same, are they? We can actually categorize them.
Yeah, for sure. You've got your physical boundaries, the personal space, unwanted touch, that sort of thing.
Oh.
Then there's emotional boundaries, how people treat our feelings.
Yeah.
Are they constantly dumping their problems on us without asking how we're doing?
Right, or dismissing how we feel altogether. And then there's time, which is huge, especially now when everyone's so connected. Like being able to say no to another commitment when you're already stretched thin, that's a time boundary in action.
And let's not forget mental boundaries, being able to hold on to your own thoughts, opinions, beliefs without someone constantly trying to change your mind or tell you you're wrong.
Mm.
And then, of course, there's the material stuff, money, possessions, that whole area.
Okay, so we got the categories. But here's the thing. Actually setting and maintaining these boundaries, that's where a lot of us get tripped up. Why is that so hard for so many people?
I think a lot of it comes down to how we're raised.
Mhm.
A lot of us were taught to put other people's needs first, to be nice, even if it means sacrificing our own well-being. Saying no can feel incredibly selfish.
And there's that fear of the fallout, right? Like,
Mhm.
if I set this boundary, is this person going to get mad? Will it damage the relationship?
Absolutely. And sometimes it goes even deeper. If you grew up in a home where your boundaries weren't respected, maybe your privacy was constantly invaded or your opinions were dismissed, then you might not even know what healthy boundaries look like, let alone how to set them.
And sometimes you don't even realize a boundary's been crossed until you're already feeling that resentment, that exhaustion. It's like a slow burn that eventually just drains you completely.
Exactly. It's like your internal alarm system is going off, but you're hitting the snooze button over and over again. And that can really take a toll on your well-being in the long run. Stress, anxiety, even physical health issues can crop up.
But here's the good news, and this is important for you listening. You're teaching people how to treat you every single day by the boundaries you set or don't set. And it's never too late to start shifting that dynamic.
Right. It's about recognizing your own inherent worth, understanding that your needs, your limits, they're valid and they deserve respect. And setting boundaries, it's not about being difficult or picking fights. It's about self-preservation. It's about building relationships that are based on mutual understanding.
Okay, so we know what they are, we know why they're important, and we know they can be tough to set. But how do we actually do it? Where do we even begin?
Well, first things first, you've got to get crystal clear on what your non-negotiables are. Before you can communicate them to anyone else, you need to understand them yourself, right? So take some time, reflect. What consistently drains your energy? What leaves you feeling resentful or depleted? And on the flip side, what genuinely energizes you? What are you absolutely no longer willing to tolerate?
So kind of like creating your personal boundary blueprint.
Got it. So then, once you've got that internal clarity, is it about making these grand pronouncements to everyone? Not necessarily. I mean, you could, but it might be easier to start small. Instead of saying, I need better work-life balance, which is pretty vague, focus on something specific. Like if you're always checking work emails late at night and it's messing with your sleep, set a boundary. No work emails after 7 p.m.
Okay, so specific, actionable. I like that. Now, how do you actually communicate this to the person involved?
This is where clear, kind communication is key. I statements are your friend here. It keeps the focus on your own experience so that it doesn't sound like you're blaming the other person. For example, instead of saying, "You always call me late at night, it's so inconsiderate," try, "I feel overwhelmed when I get calls late at night. I need my evenings for rest."
So it's about expressing your needs, not pointing fingers. Now, what about when someone just doesn't seem to respect the boundary even after you've communicated it clearly?
That's where consequences come in. And remember, consequences aren't about punishing anyone. They're about protecting yourself.
Yeah.
So when you communicate a boundary, you can also outline what will happen if it's crossed. Like, I need our conversations to be respectful. If you keep raising your voice, I'll need to step away until we can talk calmly.
So it's like, this is important to me and I will take action to protect it.
Mm.
Another thing so many people struggle with is just saying no. It can feel so loaded.
Oh yeah, no is a powerful word. And remember, it's a complete sentence. You don't need to justify yourself, apologize profusely, or make up excuses every time you decline a request. Just a simple, "Thanks for thinking of me, but I'm not available," or "I appreciate the offer, but I can't commit to that right now."
It's about prioritizing your own well-being without the guilt trip. Now, we can't talk about boundaries without talking about technology. It feels like it's constantly pushing those lines, blurring them.
Totally. Setting tech boundaries is so important. Maybe designate certain times as phone-free, like an hour before bed or during meals with loved ones. Use those app time limits. Don't feel obligated to respond to messages instantly. Turn off those non-essential notifications. All of that helps create some mental space.
It's about reclaiming your
Mm,
attention, right? And these
yeah.
boundaries, they're not just about other people. We need to set them with ourselves, too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Self-boundaries are crucial. Having a regular sleep schedule, saying no to commitments that derail your goals, taking breaks when you need them, even if no one's telling you to, that's self-respect in action.
Now, let's be real. It's not always going to be easy, right? What kind of pushback might people experience when they start setting these boundaries?
Yeah, I mean, not everyone's going to be thrilled,
Yeah.
especially those who've maybe gotten used to you not having boundaries. They might resist, they might push back. And that's okay. It doesn't mean your boundaries are wrong. Stay firm, be clear, and remember, you're responsible for your own well-being, not their reactions. And like anything new, it gets easier with practice.
So, as we wrap up, what's the big takeaway here? What do you want people to really understand about boundaries?
It's not about building walls, it's about creating a space that's safe, respectful, sustainable. It's about letting the right people in on your terms. Boundaries are self-care. They're the foundation for healthy, thriving relationships, really.
They're about protecting your energy, protecting your peace.
Exactly. And if you're listening to this and something's clicking, if you're feeling even a little hesitant about setting boundaries, let this be your permission slip. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to protect your peace. Prioritizing yourself isn't selfish. It's essential.
And as you go about your day, think about this. Where in your life could you benefit from clearer boundaries? What's one small step you can take today to start honoring your own needs?
It could be something as simple as turning off those notifications or saying no to that extra commitment or just taking 5 minutes to breathe and check in with yourself.
It all starts with that awareness. Thanks for taking the time to dive in with us today, and until next time, take care of yourselves.